What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the afternoon view. Do you know what I'm saying? It was a bit mad this morning. I see people putting in there, oh, they got AOL settings, they got this settings, they got that. We got lightning speed. Yeah, that's what we got.
You've said that immediately and gone, it's a risk.
No, it's not a risk. No, it's not. Because I feel positive.
We're all feeling positive because we're basking in the news of another person nearing a Manchester United transfer. Malacia, medical today, all this kind of stuff. Right. I knew you should have said it.
I shouldn't have said it.
I know you should have said it.
Because it's not the internet, it's the sync.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to go and come back though quickly. Do we need to go and come back quickly to sort that, Josh? All right, let's go. Now we're back, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to chuck it this time.
As soon as you said it, I went, oh, why are you doing that? This is why I always say this for Flex. I say you don't understand your powers. It's a curse, but you wield these powers. Very reckless. You're spending too much time around KG. That's the problem.
Yeah, I am. But you know what? I'm in a good mood, and I'm in a good mood because I haven't been in a good mood all day, to be fair. No. I haven't. No. And sometimes, you get them days where there's gremlins in the system, things ain't what they are, but you have to just relax because that's just the name of the game. That's what the internet is. That's what technology is. So it is what it is. So all good, all good. What have we got on Eriksen? What have we got now? Because we've got to get straight into this now. Here we go.
Yes, we can celebrate some good news here. Christian Eriksen has agreed to join Manchester United. David Ornstein, to give him credit, Ornstein, he does not miss. What were we watching earlier, Flex?
Well, I don't really want to say what we was watching.
We were watching Ornhub. Yeah? We were watching Ornhub because David Ornstein dropped right in out of the sky with one of his Ornstein exclusives. And he said, quote, Christian Eriksen has verbally agreed to join Manchester United as a free agent. The 30-year-old playmaker has communicated his desire to play for Manchester United and accept a 3-year deal at the club. Now, the contract needs to be finalised and the medical needs to be conducted before the move is complete. This was then echoed by Fabrizio Romano, who came in with the "Here we go." So if you weren't a fan of the Ornstein exclusive, you got your Romano "Here we go" as well. He said Manchester United are set to sign Christian Eriksen. Here we go. Full verbal agreement in place as first called by David Ornstein. Communication sent to both Manchester United and Brentford this morning. The contract is until June 2025, so that 3-year deal. Waiting for a signature and medical. You happy about this, Fleck?
I'm over the moon. You
sound it.
Yeah, no, I am. I'm over the... My brain's been in a lot of places today. Do you know what I'm saying? But this is a good signing. This is a very good signing. And I remember right before we were fully linked with him, I was like, we need to get him. We need to get him because our midfield is not good enough to be passing up the opportunity to sign someone of Christian Eriksen's quality on a free. Don't get me wrong, if Christian Eriksen was costing 25 million, 30 million at this stage, you're sort of saying, don't know, the money, we've got other priorities, etc., etc. Someone of that quality, of that experience, of that caliber on a free transfer absolutely makes sense to Man United. And more importantly, if you look at how we're trying to play going forward and what Ten Hag wants our team to do, someone like him is essential. Someone who plays the game the way that he plays it. Patient, intuitive, smart, decisive. Does everything in the correct way, carry out the instructions and don't deviate from the plan. Just a well-rounded footballer. Are we getting him in his prime? No, we're not. But essentially, well, I mean, you could say, yeah,
it depends.
It depends because the type of role.
You could look at, and I'm not saying Christian Eriksen's Andrea Pirlo or anything like that, but you could argue if Eriksen plays a role where he gets deeper and deeper and deeper, now I think he would be a bit more advanced in his role at Manchester United. But who's to say he can't? I've been told numerous times when I talk about people's ages here on the channel, Owen, footballers don't get bad when they turn 30 years old and all that kind of stuff. To be honest, Flex, I agree with you. I think it is a really good deal for Manchester United. irrespective of his age or the issues that, of course, he's had in the past 12 months, obviously on the medical side of things, it's a free transfer. I don't know, free transfers aren't actually free. There are signing on bonuses and agent fees and wages and all that kind of stuff, but the risk is low. I think clearly, if you watched him play last season for Brentford, the quality is still there. I mean, we don't talk enough really about this guy's comeback to football. Not only did he come back, but he came back in the Premier League, a big fish in a small pond, and they quickly realised, man, this pond is way too small for me.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he was kicking all the other fish out the pond and saying, this is my pond. I don't know where I'm going with this pond analogy, but the point is that...
I'm like, well, you could talk about a goldfish soon or a toad
really sure.
or thinking, what? Where are you going with this?
He was a big fish in a small pond and he turned into a great white. That's what happened.
All right, you got there.
Yeah, I got there in the end. But the point being is that this is the reason I'm happy with this as well is because I said it several times here, I'm not going to shy away from it. I didn't think we were going to be able to get him. I thought initially Spurs. I didn't think that was going to happen. And then when they started talking about, well, might prefer London, family, I thought this is going to be quite difficult. So I'm excited that the persuasion has worked. What that persuasion was, whether it was Ten Hag picking up the phone or whether it's Eriksen himself going, you know what, I came back. And I want a new challenge. I want something different. I think it does help. Also, must be said that Spurs have backed off considerably. They've obviously got their minds focused on other things. But, you know, looking at what he did last season, he immediately comes into our midfield and is one of the best technical players we've got. Immediately.
If not
Agreed?
As it stands, as he walks in there right now, McTominay and Fred, technically better than. You could argue he's technically better than Bruno because of the way he plays the game. Bruno's a lot more erratic. Bruno's a lot more unpredictable. He's technically probably a more gifted player or plays in a more technical way than Bruno. The only person who could rival Eriksen for that title would be Frankie de Jong when he arrives. So he walks into our midfield and completely changes the dynamic of it should he start in that area of the pitch in central midfield or, you know, under Erik Ten Hag. Let's not rule out for balance purposes and stuff having Eriksen out on the right. You know, I'm not saying that's the way I want the team to go or etc. I'm just saying he's clever enough and adaptive enough to play in a way that could help us do that. But clearly we would want Eriksen in a central area. Maybe you take the number 10 away and say we have just 3 straight midfielders in midfield, and out of that, when we're attacking, you're all smart enough to work out which one goes. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he has a more adaptive system like that. But one thing I do want to talk about with Eriksen is that a lot of people have kind of said it shouldn't have took this long for him to decide to come here. And I mean, you was even saying like you wasn't sure that he would. You wasn't questioning the time he was taking, but that's fine. You know, this is a guy who had absolutely loads to think about. In an ideal football world, us as fans, it's Man United, it's Brentford. What's the decision? If this was Man City, he'd sign straight away. But I think we really have to be respectful of what he's been through. I think we really have to be respectful to his family. Look, he's arrived at the best decision for him and his family, which you would argue that's the best footballing decision, and obviously it works for his family. We probably wouldn't do it, but I don't even have any concerns that he was, you know, leaving us waiting for a couple of weeks. And we even heard reports only a couple of days ago that Eriksen's going to wait to see who we sign before he even comes. Yeah. Now, this is my question to you to move the conversation on a little bit. Do you think he's got some assurances of the next wave? Because already there's now reports are saying, I mean, Darmish has been saying on Sky Sports that talks are continuing with Ajax and Lisandro Martinez. There is a small gap in valuation. United have an excellent relationship. Positive dialogue continues between Man United and Barcelona for Frankie de Jong. United are very relaxed about the situation and the broad agreement. Darmish is a very well-connected journalist. He would have spoken to the club, and that's what he would have been told. Do you think Eriksen was also told them things, hence why he's already signed, or he's about to sign? I'm sure he might have been told them in the first place, and then being told one thing is one thing, seeing it is another, and then seeing those reports come out, and possibly having a chat with some of his, you know, friends within football, as it were. If he spoke to his agent, he might have said, "Can you speak to so-and-so's agent? Can you speak to someone that knows this person to get a better feel on this?" And clearly, he feels comfortable with the work that Manchester United are doing. Clearly, he feels comfortable with his place in the team. Got to remember as well, it was reported that Champions League wasn't the be-all and end-all for him. What was important to him was playing games, actually. He said, and look,
even if Christian Eriksen sat on the bench for the rest of the season, he would still go to the World Cup because he's that important to the Danish team.
Yeah.
But I think his point is that I missed a lot of football. I'm still in the recovery process, as it were. I'm gradually going back up the levels again. I want to play, and I think he will. I think people are. When you see a free transfer, sometimes you assume that's just going into the
bench
squad.
warmer. Yeah.
That's going into the squad. He might play a handful of games. Christian Eriksen will play a lot of games for Manchester United. And also as well, even if it wasn't the plan for him to play a lot of games for Manchester United, he will play a couple. And if Erik ten Hag didn't know this already, and he does know this, he would go, technically, he's miles ahead.
Yeah.
He'll have like 1 or 2 training sessions. They're doing the kickabout at the start. He goes,
yeah.
He'll see some of the cross-field passes, through balls, and going, that's what
And like you said,
want.
he knows this.
And
hence why he wants him.
He knows that exactly. So, again, I think it's a really good signing for Manchester United, and certainly one that Ten Hag will be happy about. And look at this. I mean, the tour, everyone's leaving for tour on Friday. Tour begins the next week. You could be looking at a situation where you've got Eriksen through the door by that point. Malacia's through the door at this point. He was waiting on the official announcement. And hopefully, Frankie de Jong, we get that, I don't know whether it's an announcement or it's near enough a done deal by the end of the week. That's positive for Manchester United. Granted, we have the shadow still of Cristiano Ronaldo, but we were talking about before we started, weren't we? Talking about, it's crazy what can happen, because this morning, not that it was doom and gloom, but we were talking about, does Ronaldo overshadow everything, and Ronaldo not being at training today and his desire to leave, does that change anything? Or, does now getting in another player, does that make you feel a bit more positive? I mean, let us know in the comments. Does it make you feel more positive that deals are getting closer, or does the Cristiano Ronaldo shadow, as it were, still weigh over you a little bit?
Let's get some super chats out here. There's a couple to read out. Amir says, internet deal hijacked. Yeah, and we hijacked it straight back.
I mean, why do you say these things?
Sorry, it's because it's a super chat.
Oh, no, but why did you say the bit afterwards?
Sorry, because I just feel like doing a "you laughed at me" kind of thing. That screen is really fuzzy, so I got to go off the main screen. So crazy. Shalil says, Eriksen, central attacking midfield. Bruno on the wing. Hijack setting. Get Dybala. Could we go in late for Dybala? Try and get him. Interesting to see that. I'm not sure that we will, but hey, when Ronaldo goes, in my opinion, we're going to have to do something. Otherwise, we really will be screwed. Another super chat here from Jadine. Jadine says, a tactical announcement by the Glazers for sure. What happened to Ronaldo leaving? Did that just disappear? This club is in absolute ruin. Basically thinking, drop the Eriksen news now because everyone's talking about Ronaldo, or do you think it's just a natural development?
Would that...
Ornstein's one that said it, not Glazers.
And would that not come from Christian Eriksen? The reports were saying that Eriksen had communicated this with Man United and Brentford this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, look, I'm not disputing that PR is a thing, and sometimes announcements are made to distract people. That's a thing that all PR firms and communication departments use. That's what they use. Yeah. But I think this one more comes from Eriksen's camp as opposed to Manchester United's camp, unless United have got the news this morning and then given it out. But you celebrate the good news.
Yeah. I couldn't see Dybala coming here either. I don't know. He's such good friends with Pogba as well. I can imagine Pogba just saying, listen, mate, don't go there. But he is leaving, though, isn't he?
He is leaving, yeah. I mean, there were rumours about him possibly staying in Italy.
Yeah.
I mean, I recall he's been linked to us a few times, hasn't he? And I recall it might have been when he was heavily linked to, I think it might have been Spurs, or it might have been United, and he was asking for these astronomical wages.
Yeah,
and
it was United.
And both clubs went...
Yeah. Before we got Bruno, I remember that.
Exactly, yeah. I remember, and it was because I think Sky were reporting it at the time, weren't they, saying that, there are conversations, but the wages are just
Fans were happy as well. Fans were like, good.
Yeah, don't far off.
Do that, yeah.
And you would argue, like, what's changed since then? Is he going to ask for similar wages? Because if he is, still not interested. I mean, Juventus let him go because of wages.
Yeah.
They said we're not willing to pay that wage anymore.
One thing I do want to talk about is the reports of the length of contract for Christian Eriksen, and see how you feel about that and what you guys feel about that, because it's been reported from my memory that's a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that's a 2+1.
Yeah.
Because initially, was it not a 1+1? We initially outlined.
I remember the first conversations we were having on these shows. I think it might have been from someone like Ekram Kona who was saying 1+1.
Yeah, and a couple of other outlets. I can't remember exactly who, but it was definitely 1+1.
1+1. And I'm not. We don't know if it's 2+1 or anything like that. Or it could look. Let's be honest. It could be 3+1.
Could be just straight. Yeah.
United always have that option. When I did see 3 years, I did go. It was surprising because look, he is 30. But Eriksen's an interesting one because, as I said earlier on, he reminds me the way he plays. He's that kind of profile of player that he might get better as he gets older because he'll get his range of passing and technical ability is so good that he would just get deeper and deeper and deeper into the side that he could actually get better at his role.
And he's quite small and nimble in terms of the way he moves.
Yeah.
Like he's not a box-to-box carrying the ball for absolutely miles and going past people. Frankie de Jong possesses some of those traits in terms of a ball carrier.
Yeah.
If you watch clips of Eriksen or just forget the clips, just watching him even last year and just generically as a player, Eriksen is a player who's smart enough to dribble in the right areas. If he turns a corner and he's got 10, 15, 20 yards to go into, he'll travel with the ball and release the ball at the right time. If he turns the corner and sees that the pass is on, and this is why it's brilliant to have him, he plays the pass. The ball always, the basics of football, the ball always travels quicker than any man or person running. So I think, like you're saying there, I'm not really worried that it would be potentially 3 years. It did give me a little bit of an eye opener.
I was taken aback.
I think let's wait to see... Let's wait to see, what's actually released by the club. But it'd be interesting to see what it is. But I thought it would be like a 2 year and then maybe see what happens or the 1+1. Someone said that United Support says Eriksen is similar to Mata ? I feel that look, Mata we never really played in the number 10 position and was actually pretty much used as a right winger for us, which was just incorrect.
Yeah.
Early doors when he came, he was kind of in the 10 and then he got shifted about. He's similar in terms of the wavelength and understanding the game of how to play properly and carry out instructions. I would say that, but I would say he's for what we need now. I think he's better to have than Mata because I think Mata's obviously just left and we weren't. The squad was so bad. We're like when Mata's been coming on, he keeps the ball where you can see his technique, but it wasn't like we need to have Mata in the team starting loads so we can kick on. With Eriksen arriving, it actually feels like we could kick on in a central midfield area.
And also, I would suggest that if you dropped Juan Mata into, say, that Brentford side, would he have the same effect that Christian Eriksen did on that Brentford side?
Brilliant
Bear in
way of
mind,
putting it.
when Christian Eriksen came into Brentford, whilst they were playing nice football, there was a concern that they actually were not winning games. They hadn't won games for ages. I remember when we played them, I think it was in January when we played them away. And, the manager came out and was like, oh, they got really lucky and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the concern was that they weren't actually winning many games at the time. And around sort of February, March time, when Eriksen he got back up to speed and was playing every single game, they were winning games. So they went to Stamford Bridge and took the piss out of Chelsea. And Eriksen took the piss out of Chelsea. He got on the goal on the score sheet and was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I would question if you dropped Mata into that Brentford side, does he have that similar kind of effect? I understand the point being made that maybe they're similar kind of players in the sense that they're very technical, good on the ball. I would argue that Eriksen's range of passing is probably better than Mata's in terms of sort of long passing and ability to, we were watching some clips earlier on, weren't we? And the ability to really thread, the ball through the eye of a needle. I think that's where Eriksen will thrive. I'd also be more comfortable playing Eriksen as, say, a sort of centre midfielder, as opposed to Mata, who you would concerned about the ability to get around. I think Eriksen
Mata you wouldn't really want deep.
No.
Eriksen, you'd have no qualms if he ended up, in the middle third, but the back end of the middle third, kind of just in front of the back four, picking it up. What's his options? Spray it left. Is that you wouldn't really associate Mata in that area. You'd really associate him in the final third of the pitch, operating. But also, Mata's 4 years older than Eriksen. That's the biggest bit.
And that's fair too. I've just seen a couple of comments saying it's not fair that Mata's older.
Yeah.
And that is true. But I think the point being
different
that
types of players
even if you dropped a 30-year-old Juan Mata into Brentford last season, would he have had a similar effect? I don't think he would have.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah. It goes down to the types of players that they are. I see Eriksen as more of a central midfielder. I know that the 10 position is what Mata's famous for. Coming into them pockets in the final third. Eriksen comes alive in the final third, but also his progression and the way that he can manipulate the ball from deep through the middle third into the final third is exactly what we're looking for. And almost, I also think this is a fantastic signing, not just because of the quality that Eriksen brings, but it also shows the other players. It shows McTominay, it shows Fred, that, wow, Frankie de Jong's coming here. Touch wood. Eriksen's on his way in. This is a clear indication of how this manager wants to play. And yes, okay, they've got a role to play. You still need look. People can laugh at McTominay and laugh at Fred and stuff like that. I still believe you need for the bench and stuff like that. Certain games,
I need ball winners.
You need ball winners, and I know that if we can look at stats and stuff, we'll probably do that another day. But it'll be interesting to see what the stats are between forward passes and stuff like that from those two coming in, De Jong and Eriksen, versus Fred and McTominay. But then if you looked at different attributes like winning the ball back,
tackles,
exactly.
Possession.
So there's a space in the squad. People could say on the bench, as long as it's on the bench, for the likes of McTominay and Fred and stuff like that. More so McTominay, because I think Fred could probably add more in terms of the ball winning aspect and just getting it and giving it to the likes of De Jong and Eriksen. But it showed more to my point. It shows those guys that we've got to buck our ideas up, and actually it sends a clear message to them that it's substandard what's been going on here. And in this department, we're having a major rebuild. It also shows Bruno that as well.
What do you think the midfield looks like then next season? And would have to, I guess, establish what formation Ten Hag's going to play first.
Exactly. It's a really difficult question.
It is difficult to say. Let's say he sticks with him. What was he playing at Ajax?
It was changing.
It varied. I remember the We Talk Ajax guys basically saying he had half season with one formation and switched.
Yeah.
But let's.
When I was doing some research.
Yeah.
On Erik Ten Hag, when I was going to start doing some stuff with the We Talk Ajax guys, I wanted to get a bit of a bearings. I looked at like a sample size of like the last 10 games at that time. Yeah. And the mean, as you would say, of that, the average was, I was seeing mostly 4-3-3, like flat without a 10. Yeah. Just straight 4-3-3. But the day when we went out to Ajax, when they played against Heerenveen, played a 4-3-1-2. So, you know what I mean?
Let's say it's 4-3-3 then, and you've got three midfielders.
Yeah.
You're saying that the deepest one would probably be what? Frankie?
Yes. Even though people say he's not a box-to-box, but he can play there.
And would you say Eriksen's in there?
I would like to think so.
Where does Donny play? Or does Donny go in there as well?
And I can't answer that. I can't, because let's think of it this way.
Bruno's one of the wingers?
That's what I'm saying. People can say, KG was saying to Cam, Bruno can't play on the wing and all that. And look, under Ten Hag, we just don't know. Everything can be different. We're stuck, and rightly so, because that's all we know. 4-2-3-1. We must have a 10. We must have two wingers.
Yeah, and two holding midfielders.
And double pivot.
And those holding midfielders basically win the ball back and kick people. That's how it works.
We have to get out of that. We have to get out of that because of the profile of what's about to come in. It isn't that. No. It isn't two in a pivot. It isn't McTominay and Fred settings running about, being a pest, getting in people's faces, being aggressive in the tackle, but can't pass forward and can't. Yeah. It's not that. It's completely different. So we almost have to come up with a few different possible scenarios. So let's do that. Yeah. There's one scenario which, forget whether you think it's right or wrong for the Prem and it might not work. Let's just come up with scenarios. Yeah. De Jong, Donny, Eriksen. Yeah. Flat free.
Total football
settings. Try and pass the arse off the other team. Pass their head off.
And some people might say, you need someone in there that's going to win the ball back.
Right. So let's do that then. You could say, Donny, can he get through the gears in the Prem? Not really sure. There's a bit of question mark there, but cool. But you'd say, because De Jong's, you'd argue, you put De Jong in all of these because he's the one we're really going after. So he can be an automatic starter,
if he gets there and he's on the bench, he'd be like, what's
exactly.
Going on?
And you guys in the comments, I see you lot start to do it as well. Put your midfield three in there as well, what you think Ten Hag should do or what we could see. Another one is De Jong, Fred, Bruno.
Okay, so you're saying Bruno's going to be a midfielder?
Yeah. Yeah. Or you could still have a double pivot.
Yeah.
You could have De Jong and Fred and say Bruno's still in the 10.
So I thought you were going to go with De Jong, Fred, Eriksen, or De Jong, Fred, Donny.
Could be that. Could be that.
I don't see, in my mind's eye, I'm not sure I see Bruno being that far back in an Erik Ten Hag
What
system.
about if he has 2 8s and has De Jong just sitting?
Possibly.
With Fred.
And also, I suppose as well, it depends if we get a signing. Looks like we're going to have to when it comes to Ronaldo, one as a striker. But it depends if we get one of these winger signings as well. Yeah. Because he might be forced to be like Bruno. Actually, I would prefer to get an Anthony and then have a Martial or Rashford on this side. But we don't. I might have to shift Bruno out.
100%. But I wouldn't.
These are good dilemmas to have. I'm happy to have them though.
And if I wouldn't be angry. I know again, it's about shifting our thinking. We know Bruno as the chief creator. Basically, we know Bruno as like, we need him in the number 10 slot because I know the back end of last season he wasn't great, but we know what he can be.
But under Ollie, everything runs through
Everything runs through him. Forget that. That's not how Erik ten Hag wants to move. That's not how he's ever moved. If anything, he wants to take that pressure off Bruno so that the whole team can cohesively move as a unit and the whole team can create. One thing I learned about watching Ajax in the flesh and starting to watch more of them as we were linked more and more to Ten Hag and I was doing my due diligence was the patience of the play and that every single player contributed to attacks. I saw Davy Klaassen. He was at Everton, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Davy Klaassen was dropping off the front, getting into pockets, but just playing the game simply. Dusan Tadic, not the quickest at all.
Do you think that's the Bruno role?
Potentially,
where
yes.
Tadic is?
Yeah. It could be.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is my mind's open enough to accept that that's what it could look like. We have to almost forget. I'll be very surprised if Ten Hag just rolls us out 4-2-3-1.
And that's why, and we talked about the tour starting next week and all this kind of stuff. That's why preseason is so exciting because those initial lineups or those games where we're going to see different formations, different starting 11s, halftime 11 people get subbed and the formation changes completely. That is going to be, even if you're not a United fan, just as a football fan, absolutely fascinating because I'm not sure everyone knows how the philosophy that United want to play next season. They know that United are going to try and be doing possession football. They know that they're going to be trying to dominate the games in terms of possession and maybe doing shorter passing than we're used to. But ultimately, we're having this conversation now. We don't really know how United are going to line up, really. Especially in those key areas like the midfield, especially in those sort of wider areas. We're not sure, one, really what the personnel is going to be. And also, we just don't know. We've named, 2 or 3 different scenarios for midfield options then.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Exactly.
But that's exciting.
Exactly, it is. Just to let you guys know, there is a poll up. Are you happy with Eriksen signing? We're going to get the super chats up now as well, just to let you guys have your say. And I'm going to read some of the stuff from the comments as well. I can't see my instant screen. It's gone so fuzzy, so I've got to wait for it to actually come up on the YouTube end before I read them out. Because I want to read the ones that come up on the screen. Here you go. Medline TV says, trust the manager. Believe, guys. United we stand. That's the message, 100%. United we stand, divided we fall. We have to trust this manager and get behind the process and start, accepting that things are going to be done in a different way, especially with the type of players that we're...
Sorry, just to interrupt there, Flex. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted that Terrell Malacia has now successfully completed the second part of his medical test and signed his contract as a new Manchester United player. Manchester United are preparing the contracts for Christian Eriksen after his green light to a 3-year deal offer.
There you go.
Things are moving.
It's going to be a busy week in the lead up to tour. Tour's going to be so exciting, for anyone that's going and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
It's going to be really exciting to see. I know the Ronaldo situation's there, but you can see that we're...
It's just another strand.
Yeah.
It's Man United.
Another strand.
Opera, isn't it?
Jadine says, do you guys... I like this question. Do you guys feel this affects Donny or Bruno more?
That is an interesting question. You know what? I would probably say Donny. I see... Again, it depends.
Do you think?
It's because it depends where Bruno plays. I'm not sure, honestly, where Bruno plays. What position, and in terms of how advanced he is in the team, is he as far back as that midfield three with De Jong, with Eriksen, with Donny or whoever, or is he much more advanced?
But that's why I think
in that 4-3-3, if that's the formation.
But that's why I think this affects Bruno more than Donny. I think the fact that Erik ten Hag is Erik ten Hag and knows Donny inside out, I think this makes it a lot easier for Donny because now it's just on Donny. If Erik ten Hag plays you with De Jong and Eriksen and whatnot, you got to go and do your thing. You understand exactly what Erik ten Hag wants you to do, how he wants you to do it, and where he wants you to play. I think, like you're saying with the Bruno situation there, exactly that. Can't see him playing 2D.
Where does he fit?
You're going to put him out on the right? Are you going to keep him in the 10 and try and
facilitate?
I think it affects Bruno way more.
Do we see circumstances where, again, Bruno starts games on the bench because it's a case of...
I'm only going with one.
Where does he fit?
That's a massive question. And I back whatever Ten Hag wants to do.
And that's on, from a Bruno perspective, that's on him to be like, I find a way to fit.
Yeah.
You know, I adapt my game, my mentality. I find a way to fit.
Yeah. Sachiv says, hi Flex, great to see Eriksen come in, but need defensive midfield and a striker. Yeah, I almost feel like the defensive midfielder, I mean, if Martinez comes, he can actually play there. If we don't get one, you're going to say to McTominay and Fred, I know we've been there before and saying they're not that, but if they have two ahead, the problem was both of them were playing. If you say to them, one of you is in there because you've got De Jong, you've got Eriksen, or you've got Donny, you've got De Jong, we only need one of you to run about and get the ball. It could change us done that. We could be looking at a new type of Fred.
Yeah.
I honestly do think that. I know people will say, no, this is the problem. We're going back. And the pessimistic people will say that. But I also think if you do that, you're underestimating the characteristic trait that Ten Hag possesses, which we're yet to see yet, which is that he can improve players of what we've got. And if you look at an improvement you can make to Fred's game or to Scott's game, although it might sound a bit cheeky of me, the improvement would be, mate, stick to what you're good at. Don't do like that. I know you could say that's a limitation. A midfielder should be able to do X, Y, Z, but also a manager should be able to get the best out of their players' weaknesses and push forward their strengths so that they're not highlighted. And if you said to Fred, okay, I know Ralph was even trying to make you like a bit of an 8. You would bombing on, you would arrive in there. Scott, you get on the end of this, do that. I want you to just do this because these two can do that.
Here's one, Flex.
Go for it.
What if Ronaldo leaves and we're so short on a striker and I go, I'm not really sure where Bruno fits.
Oh, mate.
He turns into a 9 or a false 9. Total football settings.
I wish I don't have my lens in front of me. I don't normally do that, but actually it brings us on to, because at home right now I'd be doing that and twisting my lens and zooming in. But Shazzy Boy says, if Ronaldo leaves and we don't sign a striker, I put Bruno as a centre forward behind him, Van der Beek, De Jong and Eriksen.
Are we saying it's impossible? Are we saying it's impossible?
What are you saying? What are you saying, people?
It's not impossible.
What are you lot? Talk to me. I need the community to talk to me.
Yeah.
I need the community
What's your
to talk
reaction?
to me.
What's your initial reaction to that? Forget the thinking face. I asked you the question.
When Bruno does a madness, when he keeps giving it away and he doesn't play patient, sometimes there was this notion that the solution is get him out of the way. Let him play there. If I think about it deeply, it's Man City level, Owen. And we're not that.
I agree with you in the sense of if we sold Ronaldo and the response from the club was, it doesn't matter, we've got Bruno, that is a worry.
Yeah, because
absolutely that is a worry. I, though, wouldn't be shocked if we did sign another striker, fine, but I wouldn't be shocked if at some point Ten Hag goes, you know what? I'm struggling to fit you in or figuring out where you are.
Let me try it.
You've got a midfield free of De Jong, Eriksen, Donny, or Fred, depending on how much bite you need in that midfield. You've got Rashford, you've got Sancho. You know what, Bruno? I know you score goals. I know you know technically, maybe it's the best place to put you, so you're not rushing all the time. You've got a rush of blood every time you get the ball. Just put it in the net.
We need a poll. The poll last time is unanimous. Are you happy with signing Eriksen? 93% says yes. So we can end that. I'll end that now. Josh, can we get another poll asking, do you think Bruno in a false 9 position could work? There's the question.
Previously, I'd have gone absolutely no way. In a Ten Hag possession-based system, I'm not against it, but I still want us to sign a number 9. I'm not using that as an excuse of, we're not going to sign a number 9.
Me personally, but I would flip that. And I would say, and people can come at me more for this, first of all, we need a striker. That's the first option. Go and get someone else. But I would rather have a Martial in that area if we've got him tuned in.
Well, who's better as a striker, Martial or Bruno?
Martial.
I would argue there's not much difference.
Nah, if a Martial that is supposed to do what Martial's doing, which again is down, it's another challenge for Ten Hag, by the way, this is.
When Bruno was playing his best, scoring his goals, he was basically a striker. He wasn't a 10. He was basically, you watch how United were pressing, I say that very loosely, but you look how United set up. He was level with the striker, whoever was playing. If it was Cavani, he shoulder to shoulder with him.
We're saying that a Martial in form.
When was that?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but we have to think forward now. We can't forget, we can't do the past thing.
Yeah.
Remember, you can't use that in this. Okay? We can't, because this is a new thing. The same way we have to forget about the midfield being McFred with a double pivot is the same way that Martial's back now. So you're saying you can't teach an old dog new tricks to the midfield, and you want to say it to Martial, and I get that, and Rashford, all the players we don't want to give a second chance, but we have to, especially if Ronaldo leaves. But back to the point.
We've gone off in a complete...
Yeah, we've gone off in a... Back to the point between those two. If Martial is fit and ready to go again and has a bit between his teeth, knowing he's the number one striker, I believe we could get something out of him more so than having Bruno false nine. Bruno false nine, I think, would, in a few games, he'd do a bit all right, but against better opposition, you need to ball. You need to ball. Like, our system needs to be... I've got it. No, our system needs to be so on point. It needs to be like City's to be able to play a false nine. We ain't that. Let's take our level back down a bit, because we're getting De Jong. All right, cool. We're getting Eriksen, but the whole squad is not City levels. And it's not Liverpool levels. Liverpool could stick a Firmino there, or then put a Diaz, or then put a Mane, or then put a Salah. Doesn't matter. Jota can play there. We aren't at that yet.
And it must be said...
For me.
And it must be said, and this is a good point they've just made me think of, when you do play a false nine, you do have to work with the assumption that those players in the wider positions and a little bit in the deeper positions are still going to be pitching in with 10 goals, 15 goals. And Rashford, Sancho, whoever's in that deeper role, Eriksen, Donny, they're probably not going to be doing that, I'm thinking. And to be fair, either scenario, we're talking about Bruno or Martial up front, either scenario, we still need to buy a striker.
Oh, absolutely. The poll is polling, though, and 60%, 59% are saying that Bruno could work as a false nine. That's what the community's saying.
I don't think Ten Hag will be against it.
Yeah.
I think he'll be thinking.
That could be the claim of the season, Owen, where you get to say you laughed at me.
Not kind of.
But I'm not sure about that one. I'm not sure about Bruno. Let's talk about Bruno really quickly.
Wouldn't be shocked.
Bruno's got to do a lot. Maybe he might not need to do as much as we think, because Ten Hag, we'll be like, wow, remember we were saying Bruno has to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
But Bruno's really got to play in a way that he doesn't normally.
No, and again, that might be why Ten Hag puts him that far forward. Is if Bruno can't adapt, if Bruno can't change his way of thinking, if he's still just constantly not panicking, but it's so quick. Like, I get the ball, I've got to get out of my feet, or do a 50-yard pass, I've got to do whatever. I can't do possession-based stuff. It's always rush, rush, rush. Ten Hag might just think the best place to rush almost is way up at the pitch. If Bruno's mindset is, I've got the ball, I'll get out of my feet, I'll have a shot straight away, I'd rather you be in the penalty box when you did that. I'd rather you be closer to goal when you're trying to do that. Now, again, even then, it's still not ideal, because as a false nine, he'd still be dropping deep and you'd be looking for intricate passing. You'd still be looking at calm and composed passing, which is really where Bruno really, really needs to improve this season. The issue is that do you think he can adopt that mentality, Bruno? Do you think he can get that composure that he definitely does lack? I don't think that's a stretch to say that he lacks composure sometimes when it comes to his passing or decision making.
No, he's going to have to. Or he's not going to be able to play in the way Ten Hag wants him to. He's going to have to be really disciplined. He's going to have to be really patient. But at the same time, express himself, because we know that Bruno, when he does get the best out of himself, he will express himself and do what he needs to do. Let's get super chats out, guys. I think I've got one here from Craig. Craig says, Bruno will be on the bench. He will be sold. Wow, strong words from Craig. doesn't want him playing false nine or even in a team. Thinks to be on the bench. Big up Christopher. Christopher says the midfield needs a defensive force, not an attacking one. All top clubs have one. We've been here before. So too much emphasis on attacking midfielders, I think, is what Christopher's trying to say there. And I think, oh, here you go. There's one. Vader is dead. The footballing IQ is going up by the minute by getting these types of players in. Agreed. And Jadine says, no way, Owen. Imagine Bruno with his back to goal.
It would be a concern
against
about
Van Dijk.
Again, him holding the ball up. But you would argue, again, other players at other clubs, not that we should be comparing ourselves to Liverpool, but how many of the Liverpool players hold the ball up with their back to goal?
Yeah. It
depends on the system, does it not?
The system, would mean that you won't need a target man like that. It's more of a...
But Ten Hag basically played with somewhat of a target man last season.
In Haller, exactly. But sometimes you had two up there. You had Haller and Tadic, and then, like I said, Klassen and Hull. Danny Palmer says, constipation transfer window strategy are expecting something for ages, and all of a sudden, it's all coming at once. It just all just comes.
As that what's it called? Senecott gets it out.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly. But I think to summarise, back to hold on, there's a super chat here from Red Baron. Big up to Red Baron. I don't agree with Marcel on De Gea, but big up to Marcel yesterday for remaining calm and rational. 100%. I think shouting doesn't make you right.
No. Being the loudest,
finger pointing doesn't
being
make
the loudest,
you right.
Being the loudest person in the room doesn't make you right. And to be honest, none of whatever anyone says makes you right. It's opinion. That's what it is. It's opinion. People have different opinions. People debate things. None of us are right. And to be fair, like with Marcel, like he'll never waver from his opinion. And I think it's real good how he can be very articulate and he can put across his opinion, and he understands people don't agree with everything, but he sticks with it, and everyone's got his opinion. That's great.
100%. That's what channel's about. That's what football's about.
Absolutely.
That's what football debate is about, whether it's online, down the pub, out in the street, at games, on WhatsApp, doesn't matter. Guys, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. To summarise, Manchester United have received the green light from Christian Eriksen's camp that he would like to sign for Manchester United and join Erik ten Hag's revolution. The reports are saying it's a 3-year deal. We haven't got a composition of what that deal looks like, whether it's a 2+1, a 1+1, or a 3 years with an extra year. Who knows? We'll have to wait for that. Tyrell Malacia has completed his second part of his Manchester United medical, so I dare say we'll be back live today with an announcement with that.
Yeah, there was images were being circulated on social media, weren't they, of the table being set up with the camera lights all there ready. So it looks to be like there is going to be some photographs taken of pen being put to paper today. Yeah.
Also, just before we leave, disgraceful settings, 2,200. Okay, watching. No 500 likes.
Oh. I know there were issues this morning.
True.
I know when we started there were out of sync issues.
True.
But hopefully that's in the past now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
that's true.
It's been a day. And also, actually, you know what? We could say to him, if we get to 500 likes in the next couple of minutes or so.
I think you should put it more because you're going to say that.
Okay. If we can get to 600 likes in the next minute or so, we can reveal what is going to be dropping later today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And the reason why we were a bit delayed coming and starting this live stream.
Yep. I think so. So we'll wait. If we get up to 600 likes, we'll drop.
And for those that say that's blackmail, you're damn right it is.
Yeah, it literally is blackmail.
Yeah.
It is. But it's the only way sometimes.
Worth it.
It is worth it.
It is worth it. At one point when this was happening, I wasn't sure if you were laughing or if you were being sick. Because you went in that corner and hunched over.
I was laughing. And I couldn't keep it in. We're at 575, so I think we're about to hit that 600.
Oh.
And you're going to have to stay true to your word, unless you just quickly raise it to 7. I don't know.
I don't know.
We've got to stay to our word. We've got to stay to our word.
If it gets, we're 17 away.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Nearly there. Tabislo, big up. He says it.
Yeah.
There it is. Right, we got it.
600. So the reason we were slightly delayed in starting this live stream is due to popular demand, he is back. The Scout returneth. And KG the Scout has indeed filmed footage of one Christian Eriksen. Yeah?
Apparently so.
And that is dropping today, is it not?
Apparently so.
Apparently so. What's the phrase? Something, and I'm a scout? Scouting ain't easy. And he's a scout.
Scouting ain't easy, but someone's got to do it.
That's it. It's
And
not
I'm
as
a
if I
scout.
was in the room for all of it.
So there you go, back by popular demand. You guys can look forward to that as well. We're always trying to think of new ways to keep you guys entertained as well as informed as well. So yeah, big up to everyone. Smash a like on the video. Thanks for rocking with us today. I'm sure we'll probably see you again today at some point, you know, with what's going on. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because I think we're not far away from an official announcement from Alasia. So we'll see you then as and when that happens. And we'll see you again very soon. Take care, guys. Peace.